What's up everyone, I'm Carlos and today we're going to review Open Device for iPhone X. This iPhone must only be opened using the Universal Display Removal Fixture with the Display Removal Fixture adapter. You'll also need the new display adhesive cutter and repair tray. If the glass back is cracked or broken, you'll need to use a support frame and protective cover before placing the phone in the Universal Display Removal Fixture. Remove and discard the two security screws next to the lightning connector. Place the iPhone in the Universal Display Removal Fixture. Position the upper suction cup close to the bottom of the display, but not over the edge. Adjust the lower suction cup to match the position of the upper one. Place the fixture with the iPhone on a flat ESD-safe surface. Press and hold the release button. Move the lever down to secure the suction cups. Lock the suction cups in position. Press and hold the release button. Gently separate the metal bars until resistance is felt. Don't use excessive force. Turn the knob on the adapter until the display begins to separate from the enclosure. Insert the display adhesive cutter on the bottom of the phone between the display and the enclosure. Holding the tool perpendicular to the edge of the display, slide it along one side of the enclosure to release the display. Roll the tool back and forth until it moves with no resistance. Starting at the bottom on the other side, roll the tool between the display and the enclosure until the display releases completely. Be careful when cutting the right side. Cutting too deep may damage the display cables inside. Unlock the suction cups. Pull the tabs on the front suction cups to release the iPhone. Remove the iPhone from the fixture. Place it on a flat surface. Tilt the bottom of the display up and pull toward the bottom of the phone as you cut the adhesive on the top of the phone. Don't lift the display more than 5 degrees to avoid damaging the display flexes inside. Insert the display adhesive cutter near the top of the display. Cut between the display and the enclosure while gently pulling the display away from the top edge of the enclosure. As the top of the display releases, gently pull the display just enough to release the display clips on the top of the display. Place the iPhone in the repair tray. Gently lift and tilt the display open to the right. Pressing along the edges of the display, secure it to the suction cups. Always handle the display assembly by the edges. Don't press on the backplate. It could easily damage 3D touch functionality and image quality. Use the iPhone torque driver and microsticks bit to remove and discard the 5 screws on the display cowling. Remove the cowling. Save it for reuse. Use a black stick to disconnect the battery from the logic board. Use a black stick to disconnect the 2 stacked display flexes. Use a black stick to disconnect the upper display flex. Gently lift the upper display flex from the adhesive on the enclosure. Holding the display by the edges, remove the display assembly and suction cups together. Remove the iPhone from the repair tray and place it on a clean, flat surface. Use a black stick to remove the adhesive around the display and enclosure. Don't clean the adhesive off the black stick. It helps lift any remaining adhesive from the enclosure and display. Be careful not to touch the grounding pads on the lower cowling. When removing the adhesive on the display, dab at the adhesive to help pull it up. Avoid scraping or pressing on the back of the display. As you clean the enclosure, be very careful around the TrueDepth camera. Avoid touching it. Fingerprints or oil from your hands may damage the lens. Clean the enclosure thoroughly with an IPA wipe to ensure a proper seal during reassembly. Don't use an IPA wipe on the display. When the display and enclosure are clean, complete any other repairs that are needed. Before reinstalling the display, inspect the display clips and grounding pads on the lower cowling for damage. Now, let's reassemble the iPhone. With the tab on the bottom left, align the display adhesive with the enclosure. Starting at the bottom edge of the enclosure, slowly remove the bottom release liner while pressing the adhesive into the enclosure. If the adhesive is not properly aligned, remove it and repeat the process with a new display adhesive. Check that the adhesive is positioned on the shelf of the enclosure. Use a black stick to adhere the display adhesive to the enclosure. Press lightly on the entire perimeter of the phone. Be careful not to press on the camera or the grounding pads. Use tweezers to separate the center piece of the liner. Starting at the center section, use tweezers to remove the 4 pieces of the top release liner. Place the iPhone in the repair tray. Align the display with the enclosure and gently press the edges to secure it to the suction cups. Seat the upper display flex into the channel between the logic board and the battery. Connect the upper display flex. Press down gently, applying even pressure along the entire length of the connector to ensure proper seating. Connect the stack lower flex connectors. Press down gently, applying even pressure along the entire length of each connector. Connect the battery to the logic board. Verify that all the flex connectors are fully seated. Install the battery display cowling. Verify that the upper display flex is in the channel and not obstructing the screw hole. Use the black torque driver and microsticks bit to install 5 new screws to secure the battery cowling. Use tweezers to remove the remaining release liners. Beginning near the camera, remove it in a counterclockwise direction. Beginning near the bottom of the camera, remove the second piece of the liner in a counterclockwise direction. Starting near the display flexes, remove the remaining piece of the liner in a clockwise direction. Inspect the display adhesive to make sure it is in the correct position and not damaged or wrinkled. Loosen the display by pulling the tab on the suction cups. Remove the suction cups. Gently tilt the display down. Ensure the display flexes are not trapped between the display and enclosure. Position the top of the display over the enclosure and lower it straight down. Gently press the 4 corners so the display clicks into place and fits flush with the enclosure. Place the phone and tray in the display press. Align the holes in the tray with the pins on the fixture. Lower the lever until the press locks. Wait until the press timer beeps. Push the lever slightly down and pull the knob on the locking pin. Raise the lever. Remove the iPhone and repair tray from the fixture. Remove the iPhone from the repair tray. Ensure that the adhesive has not leaked out between the enclosure and the display. If the adhesive has leaked out, repeat the process with a new display adhesive. Install 2 new security screws. If the security screws don't lay flush with the enclosure, remove them. Put the iPhone in the repair tray and run it through the display press fixture again. Then reinstall new security screws. Check the operation of the iPhone using the steps in Article TP1045 Functional Test. If you replace the display, you will also need to complete the 3D touch calibration procedure. Check out the links below for more information. That's all for now.
Placing the display on iPhone X. There are some service considerations you should know. Be sure to remove any residual display adhesive from the enclosure. Then clean it with an IPA wipe. A clean enclosure is required for applying new adhesive correctly. Don't touch the TrueDepth camera or other components while cleaning or when placing new display adhesive, especially when using the black stick to press the adhesive into place. In some cases, the replacement display may not have display flex bends similar to the original display. To prevent the display flexes from being crimped, pinched or otherwise damaged when the display is closed, follow these steps. Hold the display over the enclosure as you route the flex into the channel between the battery and the logic board. Connect the sensor flex. Align the display and connect the lower display flexes. Install the suction cups on the repair tray. Secure the display to the suction cups. Press only the edge of the display and the receiver. Don't press on the back of the display. It could easily damage multi-touch functionality and image quality. Connect the battery. Verify the flexes are seated. Install the display cowling. Check the display flexes near the SIM tray. If they are bowed out, press slightly to have them bow in. This prevents them from folding in correctly and getting crimped when the display is closed. Remove the display adhesive liners. Turn the repair tray around. Remove the display from the suction cups. Remove the suction cups. Tilt the display over the enclosure. Check the display clips on the right side to ensure they are aligned. Also, note that the display flexes are bending into the pocket of the enclosure and will not be crimped by the display. Lower the display into place and press on the four corners as it clicks closed. Ensure the display flexes are not trapped between the display and enclosure. Check the edges of the device to make sure they're not raised. Complete the remaining steps in Open Device, then complete display calibration, post-repair diagnostics, and functional tests. When troubleshooting issues with display replacement or calibration, refer to RS102, Resolving iPhone In-Store Repair Issues, or OP 1796, creating a carry-in repair for iPhone display repairs. Use the related links on this page for more information.
What's up, I'm Carlos, and today we're looking at replacing the speaker on iPhone X. Speaker replacement is required any time the speaker is removed. Remove and discard the 3 crosshead screws from the lower antenna cowling. Remove and discard the 4 microstick screws from the lower antenna cowling. Don't touch the fragile grounding pads on the bottom of the cowling. If they are bent or damaged, the cowling will require replacement. Gently lift the cowling and disconnect the lower cowling flex from the logic board. Remove the cowling. Save it for reuse. Remove and discard the microstick screw on the speaker cowling. Remove the cowling and save it for reuse. Disconnect the speaker flex. Gently lift the corner of the speaker with a black stick. Remove the speaker by pulling it away from the opening in the enclosure and lifting it up. Use a black stick to remove any adhesive. Use an IPA wipe to clean the speaker opening in the enclosure. If the speaker opening is not clean, the replacement speaker will not fit properly. The replacement speaker comes with new foam adhesive. Be careful to position the speaker without touching the bottom of the enclosure. Remove the liner on the replacement speaker foam gasket. Align the pins on the speaker into the holes on the enclosure to ensure the foam fits into place. Carefully position the replacement speaker in the enclosure. Don't let the speaker adhesive touch the bottom of the enclosure. Connect the speaker flex. Reinstall the speaker cowling. Use the gray torque driver to secure it with a new microstick screw. Position the lower cowling. Connect the cowling flex. The corners of the cowling fit under the lip of the enclosure when properly positioned. Use the black torque driver to reinstall 3 new microstick screws. Use the gray torque driver to install a new microstick screw. Use the green torque driver to install 3 new crosshead screws. And we're done. Perform the test procedure in Article TP1045 Functional Test. Check out the links below for more information. See you next time. Hi everyone, I'm Carlos, and today we'll take a look at replacing the Taptic engine on iPhone X. With the speaker already removed, this is a simple procedure. Remove and discard the remaining crosshead screw. Disconnect the Taptic Flex cable. Remove the Taptic engine. Pretty simple, right? When reinstalling the Taptic engine, use the standoff on the enclosure to place it. Place the Taptic engine back into the enclosure. Reconnect the Taptic Flex. Use the green torque driver and JCIS bit to install one crosshead screw on the Taptic engine. Once your repair is complete, perform the test procedures in Article TP1045 Functional Test. Check out the links below for more information. See you next time. I'm Carlos, and today we'll look at how to remove and replace the battery on iPhone 10. We'll need to use the pointed tweezers for the removal, so be careful not to scrape or poke the battery. We'll also need to wear nitrile gloves while pulling the battery strip near the true depth camera. Use pointed tweezers to carefully pull up the exposed ends of the battery adhesive tabs. Use the tweezers to grasp the adhesive strip and roll it on the tweezers as shown. Slowly roll the strip around the tweezers until the white adhesive shows. Then, continue rolling while pulling the strip until it releases. Don't let the strips rub against the components at the bottom of the enclosure. If the adhesive strip breaks, use tweezers to retrieve the broken strip. If the strip can't be retrieved, move on to the other adhesive strips. Don't attempt to pry up the battery. Use the tweezers to grasp the adhesive strip on the other side and roll it. Slowly roll the strip around the tweezers until the white adhesive shows. Then, continue rolling while pulling the strip until it releases. Grasp the middle adhesive strip. Slowly roll the strip around the tweezers until the white adhesive shows. Then, continue rolling while pulling the strip away from the speaker flex. Rotate the repair tray. Be sure to wear nitrile gloves while working near the true depth camera. Use tweezers to pull up the tab on the top end of the battery. Grasp the adhesive strip. Slowly roll the strip until the white adhesive shows. Then, continue rolling while pulling the strip until it releases. Avoid touching the true depth camera. Use a black stick to gently lift the bottom of the battery. Don't force the battery out. If the battery gives any resistance, stop the repair and replace the whole unit. Remove the battery. Use IPA wipes to clean the enclosure. Be careful not to touch or rub the Mylar cover in the center of the enclosure. It could damage the wireless charging unit beneath it. Now, we're going to replace the battery. As a first step, we'll reinstall the Taptic engine and speaker. It helps align the battery correctly in the enclosure. Also, remember to leave the battery protective cover on. We'll remove it after the battery has been through the battery fixture. Remove the pink release liner from the battery. Carefully lay the battery in the center of the enclosure. Place the phone and repair tray in the iPhone battery fixture. Align the left slot on the repair tray with the pin on the fixture. Lower the red lever to move the pressure roller into place above the battery. Slide the repair tray back and forth through the battery fixture 3 times to adhere the battery to the enclosure. Raise the red lever. Move the repair tray to the right slot. Lower the red lever. Slide the repair tray back and forth through the battery fixture 3 times to adhere the battery to the enclosure. Raise the red lever. Remove the tray from the fixture. Remove the adhesive strips from the battery cover. Remove the battery cover. Reinstall the lower cowling. Follow the last steps below to complete the repair. Check iPhone operation using AST2 diagnostic suites recommended in Article TP1570 Diagnostics Mode. If AST2 is not available, Follow the steps in Article TP1045 Functional Test. Check out the related links for additional information. See you next time. What's good, everyone? I'm Carlos, and today we're going to replace the camera on iPhone 10. For this procedure, make sure you wear nitrile gloves when handling the camera to prevent contamination of the camera lens. Gloves are also required anytime you're working around the TrueDepth camera. Remove and discard the 2 screws on the camera flex cowling. Use tweezers to carefully lift the grounding flex out of the way. Don't lift it more than 90 degrees. Lift the camera cowling and remove it. Save it for reuse. Disconnect the 2 camera flex cables. Place the tip of a black stick between the camera and the enclosure to lift it out. The camera is a very sensitive component. To prevent dust or other material from contaminating the camera, always hold it with the lens pointed down, especially once you remove the protective cover. Now, we're going to replace the camera. Before placing a new camera, check that there is no debris in the enclosure. Keep the camera pointed down when removing the protective lens cover from the replacement camera. Position the replacement camera over the enclosure. Connect the camera flex cables to the logic board. Gently press the camera into position. Reinstall the cowling and position it so the right edge fits under the enclosure. Be sure not to trap the grounding flex. Position the grounding flex over the cowling. When properly positioned, it will fit under the lip of the enclosure. Use the black torque driver to install 2 new crosshead screws on the camera flex cowling. Don't over-torque the screw on the grounding flex, as it may damage or break it. As a final step, verify that the camera and flash flexes are properly seated. Once you complete the repair and reinstall the display, run the AST2 Camera Image Quality Suite to calibrate the camera. Check the links on this page for the service guide and other information. That's it for now. See you soon.